Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It is so pathetic and ridiculous in the same time to look at the Western leaders courting the dictator Xi Jinping while they are claiming that others are dictators and they should be smacked around. It is really makes me vomit when I see Macron or Donald Trump ready to visit Xi Jinping in China. Nothing against Xi Jinping. Everything against these guys' ugly, low-level way of trying to kiss an ass. That's my interpretation. I will show you. Donald Trump says he's going to visit China in April and Xi Jinping will come to the United States of America, and Macron will try to influence the war in Ukraine by traveling to China and telling Xi Jinping to go and tell Putin to stop. This is ridiculous. This is like kindergarten level. You give a chewing gum or a bonbon to a kid to do something for you. After you proved that you are not talking to this guy now, I don't need you, you're a bad dude. Now I need you, I come and I give you a bonbon. Or maybe how these guys used to do it here, I don't know, in the 16th century and 17th century with some little colored beads and some mirrors, and they bought Manhattan. All right, that's the way. This is insulting. As a Chinese, I feel offended. Okay? All right. Pokrovsk is completely surrounded. Over. Well, I know the Ukrainians will come and say, no, it's not over because we say so. Well, you can say the same thing about Putin. But I guarantee you in a few days, the Ukrainians will come out from the closet after they put the dildos off and say, yes, man, Pokrovsk has been surrounded for some time. Give me more money. Next one. The British intelligence tells us that the Russians are starting or have started already the forced Russification of the conquered, acquisitioned territories, Ukrainians. So the Brits are telling us that. I have two articles to discuss that, but I will put it in this context. So the British intelligence analyzes Russia's Russification policy on occupied Ukrainian territories. I want to hear when the British intelligence will tell the English people, the Irish, the Scots, and the Welsh about their whatever, I was about to say Africanifications, Middle Easternification of their fucking country. Why don't I hear that one? But they tell us that the Russians are Russifying those territories. What about your own fucking country? Oh, boo, 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 boo. It's meant to be. All right. And the next one. The suspect, one of them supposedly, of Nord Stream sabotage extradited to Germany. Remember, supposedly, I'm going to tell you straight. I don't believe this guy's version and the narrative they put together in order to tell us that it was some 6 Ukrainians with a lady of the night on Andromeda yacht in the Baltic Sea, a bloop going down there and blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines. I refuse. Whatever you have, my intelligence, how much I have left, refuses to accept this infantile narrative. And they tell us, oh my God, he was extradited. Which one? The guy from Poland or the guy from Italy? I will let you know. So let's start with the first one, with the Westerners going to China to buy China with a few color beads, some mirrors, some things like this. You remember? Do you remember how much whenever I read that the last time, and it was, I don't know, about 20 some years, how much the Westerners bought the Westerners. I think it was wasn't that the Dutch, because it initially was the Dutch, but I don't know if they were the first ones to buy Manhattan. They bought Manhattan. It was called the New Amsterdam, not Manhattan. New Amsterdam. That's how I think it was called at one point. I think it was the first time. They bought it with $17 worth, I don't know, 20 years ago. $17. Probably now about, I don't know, $27. Inflation, you know. We have less power to buy shit. But hey, we live a better life, not knowing what the hell we're eating. So they go now to China, and they tell these baboons in China, that's how they look at them, I give you some importance by me coming to you and telling you what to do, but you know what? You speak with Putin. And get out of BRICS, and so on. These guys are so ridiculous. According to TASS, and TASS should not be trusted, remember, because they are Russians. Trump says he will visit China in April, and Xi Jinping pay a return visit to US. The whole thing here, Mr. Donald Trump, is try to break the unity of BRICS. Brazil, China, South Africa, India, and Russia. That's the whole purpose over here. Schmoozing a little bit. I don't know. I got some change right here, Xi Jinping, here for you. And Xi Jinping has more money than Trump. Anyway, so that's the first one. Second one, Ukraine forum. This is even more baboonish. This baboon right here shows up and says, Macron to ask Xi to influence Putin for ceasefire in Ukraine. Not for peace, for ceasefire. You know what? We need a break to regroup and then strike again. That's a ceasefire, not peace. French President Emmanuel Macron, with his popularity about 12%, I think, during his visit to China in early December, will ask Xi Jinping to influence Russia in order to achieve a ceasefire in Ukraine. Wouldn't be easier if you, Macron, would try to influence Zelensky, Stein, to accept peace? Wouldn't be easier? After all, he's your guy, or you are his people's guy. Which one is it? I think the second one. And the same with Trump. And you hear Merz, the Chancellor of Germany. Putin can stop the war in Ukraine in one day. So can you? Can you? Oh, no, here is democracy, man. It doesn't work like it's working over there. I see. Remember, these guys did not want to talk with these guys. Did not even show at China's Second World War 80 years celebrations, anniversary, commemoration, however you want to call it. They did not show up. But they tell us that I'm going to go and tell Xi Jinping to talk to Putin. Why? This is another thing. Imagine the president of Albania, maybe the AI of Albania, traveling over there via wire transfer. He goes to Xi Jinping and says, Xi Jinping, I will try to influence you to tell Putin to shut the fuck up and stop. France thinks that he still got balls. I tell you when France's balls were cut off. Were cut off completely by the Prussians, by the Germans. That's when they got done. Not in 1814 or something, not after Waterloo. That was great there. Unfortunately, again, Napoleon fought with this army against that coalition of the willing. Why? Because he was a peasant from Corsica, and the other ones were kings and queens. That was it. That was it. And he fucked up the Bourbons. The Bourbons for France. No relationship. Anyway, that's how it was. So after that, France lost against the Germans, and that was the end of France. That's it. So that's 18, I can remember how much that was. They were done. No more France after that. First World War, Second World War, and then remember how the war in Vietnam started? Do you know how the war in Korea started? Well, maybe you want to look at the Frenchies. All right, and you're going to find out there were some in some places, and they couldn't hold their colonies, and they asked the Western fuckers to come and help them. Do you remember that one? And then Algeria beat your ass. Oh my God. No offense, Algeria, but France goes to China, 1.5 billion people with nuclear weapons and the biggest economy, or the second biggest, to tell them, hey, you go, blah, 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 blah. First, you go to Algeria, beat them up, get their oil or gas or whatever they have, and then you go to China. My God, man. My God. I'm not saying they should go, and the Algerians should have their own country, obviously, and so on. But I gave you a context. These guys, Fumurat, Fanfaron, how you want to call him? He goes to China. He lost from Algeria. He lost in Indochina. He lost the Second World War, even the First World War. Lost to the Germans in Pulamia in 1870, whatever it was. I'm going to say Peace of Westphalia or whatever it was. Maybe I make a lot of confusions here, or, But nevertheless, my friend, these guys lost and lost and lost and lost and lost. And they go to China now. Motherfuckers. All right, let's go. Pokrovsk, Dimitrov completely surrounded, according to the bad guy. Say goodnight to the bad guy. The bad guy is walking through. Here it is, the bad guy. The cities of Pokrovsk, Krasnoarmeysk, and Dimitrov are completely surrounded by Russian troops. Completely, he claims. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday. If this would be a report from Reuters, they would have started right here. Right here. That would not be there. They would say the cities of Pokrovsk and Dimitrov are completely surrounded by Russia. That's it. They would not say that Putin said it. They would say it as if it's a fact. But hey, journalism say according to, reportedly, allegedly. And I'm quoting, we will start with the area of responsibility of the center group. The main operations there are taking place in Krasnoarmeysk direction and around the city of Dimitrov. They are completely surrounded, just as Kupiansk was. Russian armed forces currently control 70% of Krasnoarmeysk territory, while the Ukrainian army is losing its most combat-ready units in the area. He said, is it true? I don't know. Our troops have approached this city, Seversk, that's a different one, from the east, south, and north. Actively fighting is underway in the city. Of the 8,000 buildings there, about 1,700 is in our hands. All right, Putin said, calling the situation difficult for Ukrainian troops. And I talk about the Oskol River. Obviously, they're already done over there. So we go over there to the Krasnoarmeysk. This is what he's talking about. And Dimitrov. They are completely surrounded. This is from the 25. Let's give it a refresh. But these guys usually don't give. Oh, 27. Look at that, man. They want to prove me wrong right here, right straight on my thing. I don't like that. All right, so this is what the Russians say. This is it. Done. Dimitrov and Krasnoarmeysk over. And let's go to these guys. And these guys are from the deep state. Let's give them a little zip, zip, zip. See what these guys say. These are the Ukrainians, 26. They don't show us this. This is what the Russian says. We are right here. Like we are Russians. Right there. All right. So I think that it's surrounded. And if it's not, it is not right now. Then what are they going to do? They're going to say, hey, retreat and go on better positions and fight the Russians tomorrow. There's nobody else going to be able to fight the Russians unless the guys in the West will give orders to Poland, Baltic states, Romania to start fighting. Not Finland yet, but nevertheless. The Finns still remember the fight against the Soviets, Stalin and the baboons. When indeed Stalin, after he decapitated his generals, he had a poor standing army, and the Finns were very brave, but they lost. By any measure, you can say they lost. Why? Because the Russians wanted to take this much, but eventually they took this much. So they still got something, and the Finns lost something. So yeah, you didn't lose that much. That means the score was not 10-0, it was 5-0. All right, but nevertheless, good for you. And these guys keeps talking about the White Death. You remember that sniper? Go and look for the White Death. Yeah, the guy that was burned and all that. Yeah, go and check him out a little bit. And they create all these kind of myths. If the Russians want tomorrow I think in a week they're over Finland just like this. Don't even have to go over there. Just send a few missiles and Finland is going to have only moose left. All right, let's go to the next one and I'm going to show you the hypocrisy. This is no insult to Finland, but let's put it straight. I mean, unless we want to baboon and say, yeah, man, Finland, if you want, you're going to go reach Vladivostok tomorrow, man. Tomorrow. I mean, we can talk like that, but that's not true. All right. I know, man. Patriotism is good, but patriotism blinds our brains sometimes. Sometimes you need someone to tell you, be behind you, Bibi Netanyahu, be behind you, like the emperors. Remember how the emperor in Rome used to go with his carriage over there, with I don't know how many horses, with his purple thing over there. Behind him, it was a slave, not an African slave, a slave. We all slaves in the past, but hey, just some are slaver than the other one. Slaver, less slave. Anyway, so it was a slave with a golden leaf, holding it on top of the Caesar, while this guy was Ave, you know what I mean, the Roman salute, right? Baboons, here I am, and the guy was whispering in his ear, you are just a human. You are just a human. So you're not a god, you're just a human. So until that changed, and then they say, hey, I'm the representative of that guy. Okay, so here we go with these guys. Ukinform. British intelligence analyzes why Russia's Russification policy on occupied Ukrainian territories. I think British intelligence should be focused on their country that is in the process of de-Britainization of their fucking country. How about that? Or about snippification of their nation and pinkification of their nation and jing of their nation. All that. How about that, British intelligence? The order is to blame. And why is the British intelligence? Why is not, let's say, the Iranian intelligence? Why not, let's say, Bangladesh intelligence? Why the Brits all the time? And why should we trust the Brits? Remember, you are just a human being. Now, remember that guy, the bad guy Saddam Hussein, that had weapons of mass destruction according to the British intelligence? Do you remember that one? I do remember that one. So, shut the up. All right, next one. UK intelligence says Russia is extirpating, man, decimating Ukrainian identity in occupied territories. Go to your own place and see how your identity is extirpated by Starmer and other traitors. And then we're talking Crimea River. Before that, all right, come over. Let's go. All right, next one and the last one. We have this imbecility. Ukrinform. Suspect in Nord Stream sabotage extradited to Deutschland über niemals. A Ukrainian national suspected of coordinating the 2022 sabotage of the Nord Stream gas pipelines has now been transferred to Germany. All right, the individual is referred to as the defendant. The defendant was extradited from Italy today. Tomorrow he is scheduled to appear before an investigative judge of the Federal Court of Justice in Karlsruhe. Okay. His name is Serhiy Kuznetsov, like Admiral Kuznetsov from Russia. The aircraft carrier, dying aircraft carrier, but hey, as the Russians said, you big though, to the Americans said, yeah, we built another aircraft carrier, man, it's big as it ever been. And this Russian general said, that's good, man, build them big so our missiles can find them. Okay, the same here, build them as big as you want. So, Mr. Kuznetsov, he was the organizer. I don't believe that. I said this just to keep it alive for you, that the real guys are over the Atlantic. Are the Americans or the Brits, or together. There's wrong number, it seems like. So, nevertheless, this is what these guys are trying to do. They divert and create their own, whatever you want to call it. No, my friends, it was not the Ukrainians, it was not the Poles, it was not 6+1 Lady of the Night on the Andromeda yacht. It was something better than that, someone who really can do it. The Ukrainians did not have the means. Maybe they have the balls, I don't deny them that, or the will. I don't deny that whatsoever. I don't think they had the means. Unless the means were provided to them by the Brit or the Americans. These are the main guys who had the means. Not you go with a yacht and you jump with... I read somewhere that you need about 1,000, like a ton, 1,000, I think it was kilograms, and 1,000 kilograms is 1,000 pounds. If it's 1,000 pounds, it's 500 kilograms of whatever TNT to blow that up. You think you just put it on your back and you just drop in the water and just, I don't know, get some super glue, put it on the whatever, and then you, like in the movies, put it together and then 30 seconds, let's go. God damn it. Do you think that's the way it was? I mean, my God. Anyway, if you know anything about anything, you realize this is so Hollywood bullshit. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.